Hello, and welcome
Hello.
to another Monday's live stream. I'd like to introduce Tricia. Peters is with me today for Tricia Business Events, and I'll introduce her in a minute. If you are watching on YouTube, please do say hi, introduce us, tell us what your business is, and if you've got any questions at all, please do ask them. Again, if you're watching from my Facebook group, same goes. Please do put any questions, say hi in the chat, introduce us, tell us what your business is all about. So again, please give this video a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the little bell and you'll get lots of notifications when I go live and share lots of comments, lots of tips and advice on social media. So I'm Bex from Social Media Executive, and I train businesses how to effectively use social media. And I'd like to introduce you to Tricia today from Tricia Business Events, because she's going to be talking about how to effectively use social media not only if you run networking events, but also if you attend networking events. So do you want to introduce yourself, Tricia? Tell us all about yourself.
Oh, thanks, Bex. Yeah, of course. I'm Trish Peters, and I'm sure lots of people who are on Bex's live streamlining know who I am. I've been in business 10 years running networking events. I started off with Warrington Business Breakfast 10 years ago, and I also do events in the south of the county and in Manchester, women in business events. Some are linked to charity. So that's what I'm about. Really bringing people together. Getting people and businesses to link up together.
And your events I just find that I've been attending some of your events for quite a few years now, and they're just brilliant. You know, everyone comes together, the businesses, but it's not just about businesses selling the wares. It's actually bringing businesses together to help each other, isn't it?
It is.
Help each other in person with, advice, particularly if you're a new business or if you're looking to grow, and you have loads of great speakers that come along. But
networking basically is about meeting new contacts, picking up ideas, and connecting with people. It grows your business. Meeting the right people grows your business.
It does, and I think as well, the networking in person. Also, when you then bring that onto your social media, it absolutely is a vital tool, isn't it? Not just for marketing, is it? But actually keeping in contact with those connections that you've met at your networking events. Because I know myself, since launching my business nearly 3 years ago, I've met so many amazing people through your networking events that we're really good friends now. And we really help each other in our business with advice and things like that. So what's your advice then, Tricia, for businesses who might be new to networking? What's your advice on kind of building that rapport with people in the group through social media and things like that?
Yeah, it's really, there's ways that you can find the right networking events to go to, but I suggest at first you just have a look round and see what might suit you. There's all sorts of different networking events. There's events where you can be a member and pay an annual fee, and then you pay each time you go. It might be weekly, fortnightly, monthly. I don't do that, of course. I'm a non-membership event. I have sponsors who sponsor it, which means the people who come along don't have to actually pay a membership, which suits a lot of people. They can drop in and out. So what would I recommend social media wise? If you really want to find the right place, have a look on Facebook, have a look on LinkedIn, see what other people are doing. Ask the question on social media. Where do you go in this area? I'm new to it. I'm doing this. What do you recommend? And people will come up with those with different networking groups. Of course, there's so many now. 10 years ago when I started, there was nobody else doing an independent one the way I was doing it. Nobody else doing an independent breakfast. Everybody else was doing, there was a couple of lunches and maybe an evening event, but that was it. So do use social media like that.
I think that's a really good idea, actually, because asking questions on social media is brilliant, particularly on LinkedIn. If you ask a question on LinkedIn, loads of people are more than happy to help and offer their advice. And also, not only if you ask a question, it's also raising your profile, who you are as a business. If you've got your LinkedIn profile set up the right way, your headline potentially acts as a bit of a marketing tool. So I think sometimes people are a bit afraid, aren't they, on social media to ask these questions.
Yeah, but they need to do that. They need to definitely do that follow up. I know you and I have talked about following up before, haven't we? How people really need to do that. And particularly when you've gone to a networking meeting, link up with whoever you've met. Have a look at the whole room. There is actually a tool on your phone that you can go into when you're in a room with lots of people and you're on LinkedIn. There's a tool that you can actually hit to link in with the phone finds everyone else who's in LinkedIn at the time, and that's a great way of doing it. But it's not enough to link in with people. That's all very nice. You know, I met Bex today at a networking event, and I've linked in with her. What do you do? Is at the end of it, surely the thing to do is link in and then send a message. You know, maybe we can meet for a coffee or one-to-one. It's really important. Because if you go networking and then you don't follow up, you may as well not bothered.
Yeah.
It's not you're not going to a networking meeting to get a sale there and then. It's about connecting. That's what it's about, connecting with other people.
It's about building those relationships, isn't it? Because you know, working in business, people buy from people who they know and trust, generally speaking. Right. And I come to a lot of networking groups, and it's those people who consistently turn up time and time again, and you build those relationships with, who remember you. Whereas I've done so many times, gone to a networking event and gone, I did meet somebody who offered this service, but I can't remember the name, because they've basically turned up once and then just done it once, sold the wares, and then disappeared again. And you just can't for the life of you remember. But if there's someone there consistently, when you eventually find maybe someone who you work with who might have their services, you refer them to the people who you've got that relationship with, won't you? Rather than someone who just turned up once.
Absolutely. You remember people. If you come to my meetings, you'll get a list of everyone who was there anyway. And I do very often get contacted and said, somebody on my table was doing this and I can't find my sheet and I can't remember the name. They may only have met them a couple of times, but they want to, kind of further it. Or I've even had them from 12 months ago. I remember 12 months ago at one of your meetings, a speaker talking about whatever, can you put me in touch with them because something else has happened in their business and they now want to talk to that person. And I can always look back and I can always do that. It's a good, usually I'll say, here they are, and find the profile on LinkedIn and send it over.
Yeah.
That's just a good way of doing it, and they probably find they're actually linked in, but they haven't realised who it was.
So what I tend to do after a networking session is either, if you've got the delegate list when we could meet in person, or if they're on Zoom, copy the chat. I'll take a note of everybody's name in the room. And then what I tend to do is I then go onto LinkedIn and connect with them. But I don't just connect with them. I will then see and keep an eye on if they're posting content and engage with their content as well. And really try and, I think people forget, you can connect on LinkedIn, but it doesn't stop there, does it?
No. And that's a point about content, Bex, because when you get invitations to link in with people, in the early days, I just used to link in with everyone. And then, but now I don't. When someone asks me, particularly since lockdown, because we're doing Zoom calls and we can do them with anyone in the country. I mean, I've done them with people in Spain and Finland, and they've come on and spoken. So people are all over now. So when they're in different parts of the country, they can their connections then see you and want to connect with you. And at one time, I just used to really connect with people in Cheshire and Manchester because that's where all my work is, and the Northwest really. But I used to think, well, there's no point in connecting with somebody in Peterborough because they're never going to come to my events and it's not something I'm looking for. But now, because I've had speakers from all over the country, it's different. They can. So what I do now is I look at that profile and then I look at their activity. And if they don't make any comments on anyone else's, or to put very little active posting, I don't link in, because I think it's about on LinkedIn. It's about connecting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's connecting, and it's a bit like networking. It's making sure that you're consistently checking in with people, like you would at a networking event, being consistent and going back and repeating. And then on LinkedIn, going back, meeting that connection, seeing if they're posting, liking the post, commenting on the post, adding value to some of what they do, to keep, not only to keep them sort of visible in their mind's eye, you visible in their mind's eye, but also if you comment and like, it helps them, doesn't it? It helps their content.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm guilty of this sometimes on Facebook, because Facebook is forever updating. I think more so than a lot of, more so than LinkedIn, the way it updates and it changes things. And sometimes think, oh no, they've changed this now. How am I going to do this? The very fact that you offer so much, in your training. Indeed, I mean, you're talking on Thursday morning at my event about, some of the new kind of things that have happened on Facebook, because, you get to it and you think, oh, what do we do now? That's different. That's a bit different than it usually is. Where's my post gone? What have I done? Because you have to keep on top of it, don't you? And I'm guilty of that. I mainly use LinkedIn, so I try to use my Facebook and Instagram to a certain degree, and Twitter. Yes, I use Twitter, but it's keeping on top of everything and realizing what the changes were, and then that's where you come in, I guess, because you're studying it all the time. Whereas it's not something that's not our main business.
Yeah, and it's difficult to keep in contact with everything as well, isn't it? It's keeping up with all the different changes.
Yeah.
That's why I do my Monday live streams as well. Show people and just offer different tips and things like that, and when things change and trying to keep updated. But I'll be honest, so many changes with social media, trying to keep up with it myself. I'd just be literally posting every couple of hours on social media, updates with Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. So I tend to do some of the main updates, but yeah, there's such a lot happening, particularly with Facebook at the moment. Yeah, but it is interesting. But I think what you were saying earlier as well is about being really specific. So rather than some businesses launching on loads of different social media platforms, particularly when you're new and you're looking to grow, it's about thinking about, when you come to the networking meetings, what platforms are they likely to be on, isn't it? And interacting with the people in the room and their pages. And not everybody's on LinkedIn, not everybody's on Facebook, not everyone's on Twitter. So it's trying to figure out which is the best social media platform to keep that relationship going with these people in the room after the network is finished, or between networking meetings, so you can keep in contact.
I think for me, it's got to be LinkedIn. Much more for the business side of it.
Yeah.
I have to concentrate on that, because that's the one that most people who come to my events are on. Now, there are exceptions, and it tends to be more women who may just use Facebook and Instagram because of the nature of their business, because of the type of business they have.
Yeah.
So I do need to be conscious of that. And also on LinkedIn, I have normally I'm running three breakfast meetings a month that are face to face. So when and even on the online ones, when I've had a speaker on, as a thank you, really, I like to post about what they've talked about. So I'll put some, rather than just a picture of everybody who came to the meeting, because we see so many of those. I don't want to do that. And also, I think not everybody wants the pictures sticking on LinkedIn.
No, you have to ask the permission.
They don't want it. So I kind of think, well, the best thing to do is just talk about what I learned that day and how interesting it was. And thank you to the person who's spoken, and it highlights what they were saying, and I will tag them in. And sometimes they'll kind of think, they'll say to me, oh, that was, they'll acknowledge it because they're really thankful, but they don't comment on it and exploit it, which I want them to do, because that's how to make the most of it. And really, it's just because maybe it's time, or they just don't know how to use it properly. You know, I mean, I've had training. You obviously train, so it does make a big difference, doesn't it? And have we got time still? I was just going to tell you a story about LinkedIn. Have we got time?
Yeah, well, we've got time. Karen's just said she finds it really difficult to stay on top of things on social media and engage with everyone, as it's really time consuming and it can be overwhelming.
Oh, so, absolutely, Karen. Yeah, absolutely. I have that difficulty. You know, I try to discipline myself to post and to put everything on. It's really difficult, but the little story I was just going to tell you, several years ago, and gosh, I must be going back about 6-7 years maybe. January was a month I didn't used to have a breakfast meeting. I didn't do any meetings in January because I kind of thought straight after Christmas, and I had accountants as my sponsors. They were all busy in January. So one January, I looked at people who were on my LinkedIn, people who were local to Warrington, and I contacted them and I said, can we meet for a coffee? Because we're kind of linked in, but we never meet, and I don't know what you do, and it looks interesting. And I met loads. I think Viv Nichols was one person I met on that day, and David Antrobus from David Antrobus Marketing.
Oh yeah.
And some of those are the two I can pick out, and some of these people are still regulars at my meetings now. They're still regulars. Come. Yeah, and we became, you know, and we met. I mean, I'm not necessarily recommending do that for 2 days, you know, non-stop, because I mean, you're totally caffeined out, you know. You know, one meeting, you know, and then the next meeting someone else is coming. I just stayed at the Park Royal for about 2 days and met people. And although it was good fun, and it was really interesting, I would, you know, put some time on one side, because if you have a meeting one day, then you've got to drive up there again for another one. Whereas if you block it all off and spend a day there or half a day, you can meet quite a few people and really kind of get to know them. And that's what it's about, isn't it? And the trust that built up from those meetings is far, far better, you know, on a one-to-one you'll ever get in a room.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, that's a really good idea. So basically, Viv and David had never been to your networking events till then.
Not when I met them. No.
Yeah.
So you know, and they're both, you know, regular networkers with me.
Yeah.
Both of them. So no, they haven't.
It is true, and I do the networking, and obviously then I follow it up with the social media. But you know, the majority of people that book onto my workshops are people who I've met through networking, because they feel that they know me, they can trust me. You know, and it can be quite daunting, can't it, booking onto training where you've never been before and you don't really know the trainer. So, you know, and it's the same with business, isn't it? Whatever business you need, you'd rather do business with someone who you feel like you know and you're comfortable with.
Yeah, it's trust, isn't it? You know, it's a hard one, that. It's trust. Do you recommend someone to do something for someone else that you've never actually tried out, but all you can go by is the trust that you've built up with them and what you hear from other people? And I think if somebody, like you said before, is around time and time again and they're still coming to your meetings, you'll hear something or pick something up if they're not to be trusted, or what, not so much even trusted, or they're not that good at what they do. You would find that out, you know. So, and I mean, you're not going to say, oh, don't use that person because they're not good, but you would tactfully find someone, or if you were recommending, because I get asked to recommend all the time. I get asked, you know, who do you know who does this or does that, and you know, there's sometimes I can just without hesitation recommend people depending on what field it is.
Yeah. And also, if you're connected with them on social media, you can get a feel for what they do and what sort of advice they're offering as well. And that helps to build up that trust, because people underestimate the power of your referral opportunities, really, don't they? You know, you as a networker, leading all these networking events, meet hundreds, thousands. I bet you must have met thousands of businesses over the years, mustn't you?
Because I've been doing this for 10 years. And at one time I used to have a meeting in Salford as well, a breakfast meeting in Salford. So many meetings, so many thousands of people that I've lost count of, obviously, the amount of meetings I've actually done. So, you know, that it just goes on. But I still get this really, I can't, kind of when I think about why I do it, when you connect people and you see them do business, it's so satisfying. I feel I'm always glad when somebody lets me know they're actually doing business together, that they met at my event and it's a successful partnership. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
There only once have I known it where it wasn't a successful partnership, but most of the time, nearly all the time, people hit it off and do business together. And I kind of think, oh, if they met at my event, that's really great. I always say, oh, did you meet at my event? That's wonderful. And actually, we've had more than one marriage. In fact, Beth Wheatley married Dan
Oh,
Gibson.
really?
Yeah, they've been trying to get married, and then COVID came, and then she posted on her Facebook page, but they met at my event when he was he was with at the time with Howard Worth, and she was with Primus Law, and they were on the same table, and they met there.
Oh, that's really that's amazing. So it's not just about business, is it?
No, we had Suzanne and David Griffiths, who are now married.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Tenuously through, because Suzanne was a friend of Helen Jones, who used to come, and then they met Dave Griffiths at my event, and then they all got together. So, that's two people actually who got married, which is great. Absolutely great.
Yeah.
But I'm so pleased to see Beth this last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's really nice. Well, I've noticed as well, you've started doing more videos on your social media recently, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm not that comfortable with doing them.
No.
I kind of, I've got better. I think I've got better at it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how long people listen for. Is because you use Facebook on, and I know that you can catch up with it on Facebook, can't you?
Yeah.
But if you do it on, I'm not sure that people listen to a long video on LinkedIn, because if you put it on LinkedIn, it's gone in no time, isn't it? And without the comments, you get all the comments, or on Twitter and that, and people will comment, and that's great while it keeps going. But it's only there for so long, whereas I find on Facebook, it's easy to go back to.
Yeah.
Listen to things.
Yeah.
So, I know Karen saying something about LinkedIn needs to engage more.
Yeah, she's just said she's forgotten about LinkedIn and needs to engage. I think Karen, are you the one that you write books, don't you?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, but she also interviews people for radio.
She's got a podcast, hasn't she, as well?
Yeah, she's got podcasts, and they're great because there's so many interesting people on LinkedIn. In fact, Karen, I can think of a few if you want to interview.
I've been on Karen's podcast. It was a few months ago, actually, wasn't it, Karen?
Yeah, and she's great at it. Yeah, she's really cool. Yeah.
So go on then, Tricia. To round it all up, then, if someone's coming to your networking events, how would you recommend sort of your top 3 tips for using social media whilst networking?
Okay, well, when you come along to the event, obviously, LinkedIn is the thing. Use the app on your phone when you're in the room. You can switch it on, and then when anyone comes to my events, I tell them to do it anyway, and then you can link in and make requests with everyone. Follow up on Facebook. Have a look on Facebook and see what's coming up. The events that are actually published, see what people are advertising, and the same on Instagram. Not so much, I suppose, on Instagram, but Twitter as well is another good way to find out. There's also a website called Find Networking Events. Yeah, that's very good. You can go on there and have a look what's coming up. So there's ways of kind of using it. But for one thing, if you use social media. If you go to networking events, please follow up on social media afterwards, because that's how you're more visual. You can go to an event and there's 40 people there and you're visual to all those people. But afterwards, if you post about it and you engage with other people who are there, you're so much more visible. You're visible to everybody online then, and people know what you're doing and get to see your face. And I think like we said before, the more they see you, even on social media, the more trust you will build up. because you're around and people see who you are.
Yeah. No, that's some really good tips. Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for joining us today, Tricia. It's been really interesting. And thanks, Karen, for all your comments as well. We've been very active today. And please, Karen, do share a link to your podcast in the chat if you want to. So again, thank you very much. If you're watching this on the catch up, please do like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Next Monday, I'm going to be talking about 5 top tips to grow your Instagram followers. So I'm just going to give you 5 really simple tips that will really help you to grow your followers on Instagram. The right followers, that is, not just random people. So join me next week again at 12:30. And my next networking event, my next workshop actually is next week, where I'm going to be talking about how to grow and create a successful and engaging Facebook group. So if you've got a Facebook group that is a bit redundant, doesn't really get much activity in it, or you're thinking of creating a Facebook group to build your community, then do have a look at my workshop. I will put the link in the comments below. So please do have a look at that. We do an hour a day over 4 days next week. And by the end of the week, you'll have an up, running, functioning Facebook group. So it really is a really practical workshop and really handy. Okay, so thank you again to Tricia. It's been a really, really interesting chat today, and we'll see you all again next Monday. Okay, thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.